everyone, I'm Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making this Wish Upon a Star pendant featuring our Tubelet Beads. Remember, if you need any supplies, check out the links below me to PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. So to begin our Wish Upon a Star pendant, we're going to begin with 3 SuperDuos followed by 3 8/0s. I want you to repeat that 6 times so that way you're ending with the opposite of whatever you started. So I started with 3 SuperDuos and I'm just ending now with 3 of my 8/0 seed beads. I'm using Crystal Labrador and then aluminum silver in the 8/0s. And I'm going to tie this into a loop. I have on here some 0.006 wildfire thread in the green color, so you can see it a little bit. I would choose between the white and the gray if you're doing the same color scheme. From here, what we're going to do is actually step up. And what we're going to do is right after the knot here, I'm going to go in through those first 3 SuperDuos, because remember we ended with the 8/0 seed beads. So we're going to take our size 12 needle through those first 3 SuperDuos, the same hole that the thread is already going through. What we're going to do then is step up. So we're going and coming out of the second hole of that first SuperDuo. We're going to add another SuperDuo around in line here in between the first and the third SuperDuo. So you're going to bend the second kind of down and that'll go towards the front of our project as we go in and add this next row onto the back. So as we go around now and add in, we're going to add in 6 new SuperDuos, which again are going to sit between the SuperDuos 1 and 3. So you're adding a SuperDuo and then you're going to sew through hole number 2 of that third SuperDuo. When you're coming out of that grouping, which is going to look like a diamond of SuperDuos, you're going to grab 3 15/0 seed beads. And the 15/0s I'm using are the Miyuki dyed Aqua green silver lined Alabaster. I'm going to pick up 3 15s and I'm going to catch the middle 8/0 seed bead in that aluminum color and sew through. Pick up 3 more 15s. Sew through the second hole of that first SuperDuo in line next. Bend that second SuperDuo out of the way. Add another SuperDuo onto your needle and go into that third SuperDuo in line, second hole. Now you've got that pattern. You're going to repeat it the whole way around the project, making sure that your thread doesn't get twisted. And you're going to add in 3 of your 15s. Into that middle 8/0 seed bead. 3 more 15s. And then into that first SuperDuo second hole. I'm going to continue around now, adding in my next 4 SuperDuos and connecting to that middle 8/0 seed bead with my 3 15/0 seed beads. When you get the whole way around the circle, what you're going to do is you're going to go through that first SuperDuo bead, through that first hole, and you're also going to go through the first hole of the SuperDuo bead that you put on in this second round. So I have my last 3 seed beads on, I'm pulling my thread through, and my thread is going to come out that first hole of this first SuperDuo that was added. I'm going to step up now from that first hole to the second hole and sew through. It's going to expose a little bit of thread there on the side, but you really won't see it. Give a nice tight pull, and then what we're going to do is bend them towards the back, and we're going to go in with our tubelets. The tubelets I'm using are the Pastel Bordeaux, and just like we did 6 of our SuperDuos, we're going to do 6 tubelets in here. This is going to create the base for our 18mm Rivoli to sit in. So we have 1 tublet on. You're going to go over to the second hole of the next SuperDuo bead, sew through, and this is going to start to round this out too. Add a tublet, sew through. And it's going to pull these all in towards the middle, and again make that base for our crystal to sit inside of. SuperDuo goes on, sew through, and away we go. So again, very simple process. The nice thing with the Tubelet beads are they are a little bit longer, and because they're not a bugle bead, I don't have to worry about them cutting the thread. And it makes it really, really quick to go in and watch this magic happen. Ready? I'm going to pull. And there you have that nice bezel setting for your 18mm Rivoli to sit inside of. What we're going to do now is work our thread up towards the front so that way we can go in and really create a nice front for our shining star. So after completing the rotation with the tubelet beads, what I want you to do is sew through that last rotation once again, because what that is going to do is reinforce that thread that's at the back of the design. From there, we're going to step up and bring our thread towards the front, going from that bottom or that inner hole towards the tubelets through the second hole of that same SuperDuo. And then also while you're there, you might as well go through that other SuperDuo right next to it and bring your thread out. Again, give that nice tight pull to get that all nice and tight so you do not see any extra thread. From here, go back through that same SuperDuo bead, as well as the first SuperDuo bead, kind of what's towards the top there. So in that row of 4, we came out the bottom one, we reversed, so we came out the second hole of that one. We're going in then to the second bead there on the end, reversing the thread, and coming out then of that single one at the top of the diamond. Go through the thread, reversing it as well, and coming out then around your first SuperDuo bead. What you have now is this little casing for your 18mm Rivoli to sit in and to hang out. I'm using the Colorshift Pandora, which has these great colors of purple and green, which is going to match really, really well with my seed beads as well as my specialty beads. As you're coming out that top SuperDuo through that second hole, you can put your Colorshift 18mm Pandora Rivoli in there. And then we're going to add in 2 15-0 seed beads, a 4mm bicone, and 2 15-0 seed beads onto our needle. We're going to repeat this 6 times, adding them in between our SuperDuos that sit towards the top, creating that front bezel, which is going to hold it in place. Again, this gets repeated, pulling that crystal and the SuperDuo in towards the middle. The crystal I'm using is a Potomac Crystal 4mm purple iris, metallic purple iris, and then you're going to sew into the next hole. Again, we're catching on to 6 SuperDuos, so we do this same thing 6 times. As you go through and add your last bead, you're going to go through that first SuperDuo that your thread was coming out of, give a nice tight pull, and now we're going to frame out these crystals with a little bit more of our 15-0 seed beads. So what I want you to do is, coming out through that SuperDuo, you're going to add a total of 7 more of your 15-0 seed beads. So this is a great time to kind of clean up the mat. You can see my fingers are off screen because I'm gathering up all of those 15-0s that were kind of laying around. You're going to skip over the crystals and the seed beads and go into that same hole of the SuperDuo bead. When you go through that SuperDuo, you want to try to make sure that your needle and thread stay kind of towards the tip of it, because we want those seed beads, when we bring them in, to lay right in front of those bicones. So you want to give a nice tight pull so it lays kind of right in front of the bicone, framing it out. Go ahead and repeat this again an additional 5 times, making for a total of 6, putting in those 7 seed beads around that crystal. So at this point, as you put in your last 7 beads, you're going to go through that SuperDuo that your thread was coming out of, and then go the whole way through those 3 15s, the 4mm bicone, and the 3 15s, or sorry, 2 15s on the other side. Go through the next SuperDuo and bring your needle out. Go down through that second hole of the SuperDuo, as well as the SuperDuo beside it, and you want to bring your thread and needle, kind of pushing it around out between one of the 8 sets of 8-0 seed beads along the edge. Coming out between the 8-0 seed beads, and you'll notice that the middle 8-0 seed bead that you added is kind of pulled to the back because remember, we pulled it towards the back. We have 2 that are going to be popping up, the first and the third, and between those, we're going to do a really, really simple addition of working and adding 3 15-0 seed beads. Between the gap where there's SuperDuos, we're going to add 3 15s, 1 more SuperDuo, and 3 15s. So here between the 8s, I'm going to add 3 15s. So through the next 8, and then when I'm jumping from one group of 8s to the other, I'm going to add 3 15s, 1 of my SuperDuo beads, 3 15s, and then sew through to the next grouping of my 8s. Again, this is our 6-pointed star, so repeat that 5 more times for a total of 6. 3 15s go on through the next 8, and then 3 more 15s, SuperDuo, 3 15s, continuing the whole way around our piece. For our finishing touch, as you come around and put on your last SuperDuo there, go ahead back through that first 8/0 seed bead, and then you can either go down or up, whichever is easiest. I'm going to go through those 3 15s that we just added first, come out my 8/0 seed bead, go back up through my 3 15s and my first SuperDuo that I added on that outer edge. Step up through the SuperDuo just like we've been doing from that first hole to the second hole. And now, just like we caught on to the middle of those 3 8/0s, we're going to catch on to the middle of that 15 there. In between the middle of the 15, we are going to put on a tubelet bead. The tubelet beads are going to sit with a 15/0 after them and sew through to that next SuperDuo. So we're going to do a 15, and then we'll bring that nice purple color in. Once you have the tubelet on, pick up that middle bead of that grouping of 15 that sits on top of the 8/0s. Grab another tubelet and a 15 and sew through the next hole of your SuperDuo. This time you get to put on 12 of your tubelets to get this nice star design going. And remember that whenever you're next to the SuperDuo, you want to put these Pastel Bordeaux with a 15 between or before them. So they're going on with a 15, then a tubelet, then another tubelet, and then a 15. Going around here, I have 4 tubelets in place. I have 4 more groupings to add, a total of 8 more in that rotation. As you add in your last of your tubelet beads, you're going to come out through the last SuperDuo there. Your star is completed, and it looks so different in the gold versus the purple and the teal. Completely different look, and it's really fun to see how color can affect that. And I have here, because I use wire guards on most of my videos, I have a soldered jump ring just to change it up and show you how to use that. I'm going to grab one of my crystals to add a little bit more of that purple at the top. And what I'm going to do is add in one of my 15/0s, go through my crystal, go through my soldered ring, important that it's soldered, you don't want it to have any splits or openings, down through my crystal, add another 15, and share that SuperDuo one more time, sewing from the right hand side here towards the left. Now I don't want just one thread going around that loop, so I'm going to repeat and reinforce, going up through the 15/0 in the crystal, sewing around that soldered ring, which is going to be my bail, down through the crystal, making sure you're looping around that soldered ring, and through the 15 again. Now what you're going to do simply is work your thread towards the back of the project, which you're going to connect, and the easiest place to tie off is right at that starter thread. So I'm going to look at my project here and say, all right, how can I get that thread as quickly as possible down to that area and back through? Going back through some of your design here and making sure every time you're doing this where you're going back into the design, you want to make sure that you're not going to have any visible thread. So you're going through and creating and kind of going through that nice thread pass to get some from one side of the project to the other. If you want to and you don't want to go the whole way along the thread pass, what you can do is just knot off along the project or sew back enough into it and knot off further along the design. But that is going to finish up your little pendant here. Again, it's so cool to see how the color variation really changes the design of the piece. Thanks so much for joining me in making this Wish Upon a Star pendant. Remember, if you do need any of the supplies, you can check out the links below me to PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. Also, check out that little bell below me here on the corner and subscribe to get regular updates from us here at Potomac Beads. Make sure to do a little comment and share with what you're going to make with this design ideas and the materials that you have. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and happy beading.